And we're live, boys. Sunday Service episode number 45 coming at you. Sunday night, we got a lot to talk about after last night. UFC Kansas City, 14 fights went down. Capped off with a main event that I guess ruffled some feathers with my take about Ian Garry. I'm sure I can clear some things up about that because I wasn't 100% just poo-pooing on the guy. So I'll talk about that throughout the chat. We'll assess the fight. We'll assess what happens, in the welterweight division because we got a lot of contenders. We got a little fight book with Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman that got announced. That's a huge fight. It should be fun. Should be a good little live stream here. We could maybe talk about next week, but I don't really think there's a ton to talk about for next week. I'm sure somebody's going to ask me for my picks, but they're already up on the YouTube channel. My early picks are, but let's hit the chats. Let's see what the chat has got to say. Hector, what's a possible way Brandon Moreno could still be champ? If Pantoja moves up a weight class or retires. What up, Noah? How we doing, Johnny? Mike Honcho, like it up. Yeah, like the live for me, fellas. We're going live like 3 times a week now, so that's fun. Randy KO, Wellmaker KO, easy money. That was easy money. When you're done with live, you should watch Guru's reaction to Anthony Smith's fight. I'm sure it probably wasn't great because that was, vintage Anthony Smith over the last couple years when he's losing. Will Rainier DeRitter be double champ? Please be honest. Absolutely not. Prates was too green. Arguable, but yeah, he definitely lost. Could 100% admit that. Cesar Lopez, yo, what's going on, brother? IG chat's popping off. How we doing tonight, fellas? Ian Garry's losing his next fight. He's not that good, says Monteo Brown. Depends who he's matched up with. Jerry West, Prates sold so bad he could so have KO'd him at the end. He definitely could have. I don't know if Ian Garry was really that hurt. I think he was just a little bit tired and was, just trying to avoid getting hit with anything too big. When are you going to start getting live streams during events? People will love a watch along. Well, I've thought about it, but it's such a long time to be on camera. And honestly, I like to take the fights in. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about it. Your DFS picks are fire, bro. My brother been making profit from your pay-per-view picks. Yeah, we have absolutely crushed DFS over the last 2 years, and we will continue to do so, brother. I think Rainier DeRitter could beat Nickel. He definitely could. Thoughts on Michel Pereira fight? Michel Pereira looked like he didn't have a game plan, and he didn't even look like he wanted to be there. But you got to give Abus some credit. He was doing what Abus does. Smart kickboxer, pretty much stayed out of harm's way, and it wasn't much harm coming back at him. So he just stayed busy and won a decision. Hate to say it, but Nicholas free money reminds me of Chandler versus Patty. Patty and Nichols' career are very similar. I wouldn't go that far, but similar as far as the UFC likes them. Michelle needs to be investigated. Laugh my ass off. Yeah. That was a very weird performance, man. Very, very weird performance. I wouldn't be shocked if in a couple months we see a little Michel Pereira gets arrested for placing a massive bet on Abus Magomedov as an underdog. I sprinkled a little on Prates at the beginning of round 5 at plus 1050, and when the near KO was happening, I was really patting myself on the back until I wasn't. That was pretty nuts at the end. I was going a little bit insane. I was like, oh my God, there's no way that Ian Garry's about to fumble this in round 5. And Prates is about to, nobody would expect a Prates round 5 KO going into that fight. Why do you think Prates and fighting nerds are getting so much hate? They're more excited even in losing than Garry. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't really give Prates hate for it. I would say he probably could have fought better because let's just get right into it, boys. Let's just get it right into it because the main thing is the main event. So what I saw with the main event was going into it, the reason I bet on Carlos Prates was because I didn't believe Ian Garry would have a ton of grappling success. I don't think he was going to go in there and just ragdoll Carlos Prates and submit him. I don't think that was going to happen. And I didn't think Carlos Prates was going to gas out. We had never really seen him gas out. So I thought, Prates going to be able to stuff the takedowns. I think his cardio will last, up till the final bell. He's not going to just death gas. So then it was like a striking battle. And I thought Ian Garry's fighting style would come back to bite him a little bit because he's a guy that likes to fight off the back foot. And Carlos Prates is a guy that likes to be on the front foot. And when he starts to get downhill, then he's very, very dangerous. Now, what actually happened and what I didn't really account for was Ian Garry having the best fight IQ, or one of the best fight IQs in the entire UFC, because every single week I break down these fights and I see a path to victory for a lot of these guys. And every single week I'm consistently disappointed in these fighters' game plans. But I can tell you one thing. You're never going to be disappointed in Ian Garry for his game plans, because he comes into fights with the best game plans that I've probably ever seen. Okay, every time that I watch this guy, I'm like, okay, this guy does his homework. He knows his game plan. He sticks to it. And almost every time, it changes up from time to time based on the opponent. But the game plan for Ian Garry in this fight was very clear. He was going to overwhelm Carlos Prates with volume, but not be there to where Carlos Prates could get downhill. So every time Carlos would, close the distance where he's about to start landing something, he would hit him with a jab and get out of there. He would hit him with a front kick and get out of there. Hit him with a head kick that gets blocked, but hits his arms, and get out of there. So my Instagram post, or my X post that I posted on my Instagram that I guess pissed a lot of people off, calling it cope, there's truth to it. There's 100% truth to it. Maybe I could pull it up. Or maybe I can't because I'm live on IG. Maybe we'll pull it up later. I don't know. I guess I could pull it up on X. That would be easier. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. I don't want to promote that. Thank you. Share screen. All right, here we go. So here's my take on Ian Garry, right? Ian Garry is really good at MMA, but he is not a fighter fans will love. Does everything in his power to avoid exciting fights. It's disgusting. Now, obviously, the last part of saying it's disgusting is a little bit out there, because he won the fight. I think he clearly won the fight. I think he won probably 4 rounds to 1. You could argue maybe 3-2, but I think he probably won 4 rounds to 1. And what Ian Garry does, and he's really good at MMA because he has all the skills. He's super fast on the feet. He's 6'3". He uses all of his weapons. He comes into fights with really good game plans. He doesn't make mistakes. His whole fighting style is risk averse. He's going to avoid anything to where you can capitalize on his mistakes. So when he's in there, he's just not making mistakes. I'm not making mistakes. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where I'm going to make a mistake. And that's good, because in MMA, if you make a mistake, your opponent can make you pay. And if you're going up against a guy like Carlos Prates, who, if he makes you pay with a mistake, it could be night-night, it could be lights out. That's good for being good at MMA. But for being a fighter that fans will love, you got to think of the fighters that people love. Alex Pereira, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira. What do? They're really good at MMA, but they also take risks to put on fun fights for the fans. And fans appreciate that. Ian Garry hasn't really destroyed anybody in his last 4 fights, ever since he's been in the rankings. And even when he wasn't in the rankings, he wasn't exactly blowing through guys. He's only had 1 performance bonus in the UFC, and it was a head kick over Daniel Rodriguez. When he fought Jeff Neal, it was a split decision. It was very boring. When he fought MVP, I actually said this. Now, people are commenting on my Instagram saying I'm coping because I'm so upset that I lost a bet on Carlos Prates. buddy, it's sports betting. Okay. You're going to lose bets. I'm not upset that Carlos Prates lost the fight. I'm not. What I'm upset with is that Ian Garry is a real talent, and he could be a real star, but his fighting style is just not something that's going to resonate with the fans. I said it before the MVP fight. I was like, Ian Garry and MVP was hyped up to be this like striker's delight. It's going to be a great fight. I literally made a video on it. I'm like, don't get your hopes up. This fight's going to be super boring because Ian Garry's not going to engage in the striking because he doesn't want to take the risk with MVP. And he's probably going to use his grappling. It's probably going to be really kind of be like a chess match. And what happened, it was a super boring fight. So I called that one right, and I've said it before this fight actually happened. MVP fight was boring. Jeff Neal fight was boring. Him against Shavkat was pretty boring. It was pretty boring because Ian's whole game plan was don't let him take me down. Avoid all of the grappling exchanges by being in the clinch. And don't even like use your weapons from the outside because if you throw a kick, he'll probably catch it and then take you down. He wasn't really throwing anything in that fight against Shavkat. A lot of the fight was in the clinch. And he did capitalize once by getting the back of Shavkat. Wow. He got the back of his opponent. That was like the most exciting part of the fight. And he couldn't even finish the rear naked choke. And then in this one, against Carlos Prates, all he's really doing is jabbing, leg kicking, teeping up the middle. There were some times where, he'd throw a head kick, a little bit of a combo. He had a nice little lead hand shovel uppercut where Carlos Prates was, putting his guard up like this and he would sneak it in. That was really nice. I got to give him credit for that. But, he's not going in there looking to put the lights out for Carlos Prates. He's looking to touch him, and get out of there. Every time that Carlos Prates would land a shot, Ian Garry would level change, fail a takedown. Sometimes he would get it. I think he got 4 takedowns. What did he shoot? Like nearly 20 takedowns. He's a great MMA fighter, but he's not a fighter that fans are going to be like, that is my favorite fighter. Ian Garry is my favorite fighter. I don't know how anybody could watch him and be like, that's my guy. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, then you're probably just trying to be a hardcore fan and you're trying to be like, wow, Ian Garry's so damn good. Like, he is really good. He is good. And he clearly won the fight against Carlos Prates. But come on, man. Like, you can't tell me that Ian Garry is going to have millions of fans across the world. He's not going to be an Alex Pereira. He's not going to be a Justin Gaethje that puts on exciting fights every time he's out there. He's not going to be a Charles Oliveira. He's not going to be Ilia Topuria. You look at the top level. You look at the champions of their weight classes. Ilia Topuria goes out there looking for the finish every single time. Islam Makhachev goes for the finish every single time. Dricus du Plessis goes for the finish every single time. Alex Pereira, every single time. Ian Garry goes in there, whatever it takes to get the win. Whatever it takes to get the win. If it's got to be boring, I'll make it boring. I'm just not going to make any mistakes. And at the end of the fight, I'll get my hand raised, probably by decision. He's kind of turned into like a Bilal Muhammad, but in a different, very different way. Obviously, he's not shooting a bunch of takedowns and holding guys up on the ground, but he's doing it in the Yusuf Zalal way. Not going to make any mistakes, stay on the back foot, jab, get the fuck out of there type of thing. If you understand, you understand, but if you don't, you're just trying to be a purist, bro. That's what it comes down to. Let's see what the fucking chat's got to say about that. How would you describe Prates versus Garry? Got too high and forgot to watch. Got too high, forgot to watch. Garry outclassed him with superior fight IQ. And I got to give Prates some slack here because, bro, you're in a 5-round fight. And I don't think he really started to go until the 4th round. So he was down 3 rounds to nothing. Obviously, that a lot of that is from Ian Garry being effective with what he does. But also, big thing for Prates is like he kind of got exposed in the fact that he can't counter. He's not a counter striker. Every time Ian Garry would throw something at him, he would just shell up. He'd put the high guard, he'd back up. or he'd look to defend a takedown. Like he can't counter anything. So he's almost a 100% downhill type of fighter. If he's got something thrown back at him, he's not countering you with anything. That's the big difference between him and like a Jean Silva. A Jean Silva is an elite counter striker. That dude can make you pay if you're throwing something at him. He will slip, hit you with something. Say with Mauricio Rufi, he will slip, counter you. He'll bait you into stuff. Very different. Like Prates is a little bit exposed in the way that he fights. He has to be downhill. I damn near had an aneurysm in the 5th round with my $500 bet on Ian Garry. Yeah, I would be cheeks puckered as well. UFC kind of pushes them a lot. I could see why people hate. Okay, yeah, fighting nerds. I get it. Kevin Holland versus Prates, I could say happening. Yeah, I don't know. The KO just seemed to be there, and Prates paused maybe for a smoke break. Yeah, I was like, dude, get this guy. After he was down 3 rounds to nothing, I was like, get this dude a cigarette in the corner because he needs something to wake him up because he ain't doing shit through 3 rounds. I was just waiting for this guy. Come on. Yeah, this is your main event. Do something, bro. Garry was born not Izzy or Leon point striking born. I need to stop fading him. The IQ is clearly high. Those are great comparisons and ones that I actually thought about. Ian Garry, Leon Edwards, very similar, but I think Ian Garry has better fight IQ and he's a little bit more active with it. So you got to give him that. He's not, completely off the back foot and just kicking and running. Sometimes, he'll go with the hands. He'll look for those bursts of combinations. But those are good comparisons because those are champions, guys that have fought at the highest level to where you leave their fight and you're like, well, that wasn't really like the greatest fight, but they got the win, like Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. Come on, bro. Come on. Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Come on, bro. Come on. Fucking go for something here instead of just leg kicking and running. I could see that happening soon. Apparently, if Ian Garry didn't accept, they were going to do Kevin Holland versus Prates. Had Randy Brown by KO, Wellmaker KO, and Kwamba KO. Damn. That is a hell of a parlay. I wish I would have put that in because I had all those bets on my card, but I did not play that parlay. So unfortunate. Said he was going to KO the 13th ranked guy. I think that post was fair. Yeah. That's another thing with Ian Garry is he talks like he just runs through everybody. Like, no, you're going to decisions with guys, and a lot of times they're pretty competitive. Like he talks like he goes in there and just smokes everybody by like knocking them out. I think, what did he say? I'm going to leave this man. He said he was going to leave Carlos Prates like his career would never be the same. Like, I don't think Carlos Prates is going to be different in his next fight. It's not like he took like an ass whooping. It's not like even against Neil Magny. Like he did kind of like beat the shit out of Neil Magny, but Neil Magny got to win his next fight. So it's not like fighting Ian Garry is detrimental to your career. He's just not going to make you pay like that. What do you think about Rosenstrike being cut? Could care less. Sorry, bro. What's up, guys? Not sure if you talked about this, but is Garry really going to steal a title shot from Brady and Shavkat after beating number 13 because he weighed in as the backup, or is Dana going to change his stance? Another thing as to why Ian Garry, I think Ian Garry taking these short notice fights is kind of his way of getting in the good graces with the UFC because he's now taking a short notice against Shavkat. He's taking a short notice against Carlos Prates. He was going to take a short notice against Buckley. But I think that's his way of not having the most exciting fight style, but still being in the good graces with the UFC. He'll be like, okay, I'll step up on short notice, and I'll maybe get a win. He's gotten a win every time unless it was Shavkat. But I'll step up on short notice. I'll be a company man because my fight style is, not as exciting as a Shavkat Rakhmonov or, even Sean Brady's fucking finishing guys at this point. So, yeah. I don't know that he's going to steal a title shot, though. I really don't think he should get a title shot off of beating number 13. You got Sean Brady that just finished the number 1 contender, Leon Edwards. You got Joaquin Buckley versus Kamaru Usman. I think those two guys should definitely get the next title shot over Ian Garry. Facts. You took Prates. LOR, you were upset. You're a fucking idiot, bro. Part of the game. I'd say Garry had really good reads, lateral movement, emphasis, breaking Carlos's rhythm, kept circling out to the left to avoid the left hand, and threw the hook onto as he stepped out. 100%. 100%. He had great fight IQ, great discipline, and that's what Ian Garry does. Garry don't have the power or submission experience to make anything fun. It's kind of true, but he does have a good skill set, so he'll win a lot of fights. Despite Garry being the backup, I don't think he'll get medically cleared to fight in 2 weeks. UFC knows what they are doing, and they know the fans don't want Garry title shot. I heard somewhere that Colby Covington was maybe going to be the backup for Bilal versus Jack Della, and that literally made me laugh out loud. But I guess it is going to be Ian Garry. I also agree. I don't know how he's going to be cleared to fight in 2 weeks. I mean, he didn't take that many shots, but still, fighting 5 rounds, he's got to cut weight again. I get he's not really like, he probably only weighs, 190 somewhere in there. But still, 2 weeks, yeah, I mean, you really got to hope they don't have a pullout. Garry has to win a top 1 to 4 watch matchup before a title shot going to the distance against the hurt Shavkat. Ain't doing it for me. That was another thing, bro. Like, there's a lot of shit that pisses me off about Ian Garry, but I respect him. I respect him as an MMA fighter. People get so pissed. Like, I clearly dislike Ian Garry, but I know he's a really good MMA fighter. But the fact that he like boasts about going to a close decision with Shavkat Rakhmonov, and that he says he made Shavkat feel like less of a man after being in the cage with him for 25 minutes, and that he was the one that hurt Shavkat's knee, is so stupid to me. Like, bro, Shavkat went into the fight against Wonderboy injured and still beat Wonderboy and finished him in the second round. He probably went into the fight with you with somewhat of a hurt knee and just hurt it a little bit more. It wasn't like you were hitting him with huge leg kicks. It wasn't like you were rolling for knee bars and tearing up his knee. Like, you were in a 5-round fight with a lot of clinching, a lot of back and forth, pretty physical fight. But like, I wouldn't say that you went in there and like just destroyed his knee and made him feel like less of a man. Like, you lost the fight, bro. I don't think you should be boasting about a loss to a guy. When he saw Carlos using the long guard, he made the adjustment front, the left hook, lead hand uppercut, landed clean. Adjustments were solid from him. Yeah, the dude's really good. The dude is really good. I knew Ian Garry would approach the fight this way. That's why I went on one of your posts. I said, if you bet Prates, might as well bet the KO, because that's going to be his only chance to win. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair assessment. But the KO wasn't like a ton better, honestly. Just play the money line. At the end of the day, you have a chance at a decision as well. Cope, oh my God, dude, you're about to get banned, brother. That Shavkat fight was so whack. He had a torn MCL, and Garry looked so horrible against him. The rear kick was good from Garry, using it to neutralize the left hand for Prates. That was very good, very smart. And that's another thing. Like, when you look at the statistics of the fight, you'll see Ian Garry landed 86 headshots. I gotta believe like 20 of those were probably head kicks that got like partially blocked, because he was spamming a bunch of head kicks, and Prates was, blocking him with his left arm, which probably severely hurt his left arm. Blocking a bunch of head kicks, definitely going to do that, especially with Prates' skinny ass arms. But a very tactical move from Ian Garry. Got to give him that. If Carlos actually fought before the 4th round, he'd have won. I think if he was more aggressive, he probably would have had a better chance. That's for sure. He talks himself up way too much as a human being. I strongly dislike him. 100%. Doesn't hate Garry. He hates the way he fights. He talks like an elite striker when he's matched up with them and turns into a grappler. 100%, Mario. At least somebody gets it, man. At least somebody does. If Ian was Russian, the MMA community would be in shambles. Laugh my ass off. 4 of 19 on takedowns. That's true. That is true. Like, it's such a tactical move nowadays. It really is. If you just spam takedowns, don't even have to get them. You're just making your opponent think about it. It works. There's no repercussion for failing a takedown. Like, you're maybe going to get guillotined, but I doubt it. You can't really get hit to the head because if you're on your knees, they can't knee you. They could really only hit you with punches, and it's kind of hard to punch a guy while you're defending a takedown. So failing takedowns, Marab has kind of set the meta. If you're going to go in there and shoot a bunch of takedowns, as long as you got the cardio to back it up, you're solid. Because if you fail them, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you fail takedowns in MMA anymore, or at least in the UFC, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be penalized for it. You're not going to get kneed to the head if you're on your knees trying to suck the guy's ween. You're not. Garry should turn heel at work for Cena. I think he kind of has. I mean, I may have made this up in my head, but I'm pretty sure he said, "Love me or hate me, you got to respect me." And I give him that. Like, he's a polarizing guy. I think he knows what he's doing. Like, obviously, a lot of people are going to hate him. I don't like him. Some people might like him. I don't know why, but either way, you're going to feel one way or the other, and you're going to want to watch to tune in. I think the takedown attempts were just to mess with Prates' brain. I personally don't think he was 100% trying to complete the takedowns. 100%. 100% he was not. He was just trying to make him think about it. He has a legion of fans based on speaking confidence. The difference of him and McGregor, Conor was putting people out. Ian snoozes his decisions. Yeah, that is true. Seeing people try to dunk on you for the bet is so dumb. That was a given possibility. I took double chance, Garry decision, Prates KO. I was never sweating at all. Last leg of my 6-piece cash plus 583 net. Very smart play. Very smart play. If Rainier de Ritter wins, you must publicly apologize to him. Why? I've been a Rainier de Ritter truther, bro. Rainier de Ritter truther. Also, the game plan made sense. Wanting to avoid getting caught in the later rounds with the takedowns, he needs to start putting together combinations. He was getting really strong reactions. That is true. He was. I had Minyang round 2 for 7,500. So bummed, man. Was 1 minute away. Dude, yeah. Anthony Smith, bro. Come on. Couldn't last one round. He went to round 2 with ankle live. He went to round 2 with round 3 with Khalil Roundtree. Couldn't go more than one round with fucking Ming Yang Zhang. Come on, bro. Randy Brown went full demon time. Dude, Randy Brown's KO was sick. That was so sick. I like Randy Brown, dude. I think Randy Brown's so underrated. Prates and Diego Lopez are in a very similar situation. Not fraud check, like people are saying, but just faced high-level competition. Both showed they have 5-round cardio. That was actually what I was thinking when I was watching the fight as well. I was like, dude, Ian Garry's kind of Volkanovski, like pulling a Volkanovskiing his way to a decision here by having better footwork, not being there when the guy wants to throw, interrupting combinations with the jab, with the leg kicks, moving around, circling away from the power hand. Like, that was kind of a Volkanovski type performance. But the difference is Volkanovski doesn't talk like he goes in there and smashes guys in round 1. Volk's a humble king, okay? Ian Garry's not. Ian's footwork was great. You'd think a fighting nerd would use the calf kicks to slow down Ian Garry. I was so mind-boggled as to why Carlos wasn't throwing leg kicks, wasn't throwing his lead hand, or even body kicks. Like, did Ian Garry really just shut him down that bad? Like, I was like, throw something, Carlos. Like, make him respect you a little bit. How do you like the card next week? I don't see a ton I like, but I'm also not as deep into UFC as you and the other experts at Home of Fight. I don't really like it too much, to be honest. It's a pretty thin card. Betting perspective, I got to look at it more. But the card itself is pretty thin. I think there's only like 11 fights, 10 or 11 fights. Thoughts on Anthony Smith getting a send-off for a triple champ after getting beat to hell and flipping off fans? Anthony Smith gonna Anthony Smith. I gotta say, so if you didn't know, the boys at Homo Fight did a nice little interview type of send-off thing for Anthony Smith on the Homo Fight YouTube channel. If you haven't watched it already, you should go watch it because I think it's really good. And I posted, I was like, this is better than anything the UFC has or will do for their fighters that are retiring. And that was based off the sense of not giving Stipe Miocic like shit when he retired. That was also based on them giving Dominic Cruz his retirement video or whatever, retirement highlight reel at the Apex where there's nobody there. So I was like, dude, it's Anthony Smith. Like, he's not on the level of a Stipe or a Dominic Cruz. They're probably not going to do shit for him. But they actually gave him a great send-off. Like, that was actually a really good video by the UFC. I got to give them props for that. Maybe it's just the fact that they knew this was going to be the last fight for Anthony Smith and they were prepared for it and they could prepare for it. But, like, in the past, the UFC has pretty much done shit for a lot of their fighters when they retired. That retirement package for Anthony Smith was actually really good. Gave me chills, made me like Anthony Smith more than I already did. And I'm glad to see Anthony Smith like call it quits. And I'm excited to see him at the desk because I think he's a fun analyst. I really think he does a great job on the mic. So I would like to see him do some color commentating as well, just to see how he does. Maybe put him on the Contender Series or something like that. Give him a feel for it. Conor was great because there was a truth behind his words. Gary says all this aggressive stuff and then fights like a cuck. That's facts. It's going to catch up to him. He's getting KO'd his next fight. I don't think Ian Garry will ever put himself in a position where he could get KO'd. It's just not in his blood. Card felt like a pay-per-view during prelims. Dude, that was a great prelims. That crowd was insane. That's why the UFC's got to get the fuck out of the Apex, dude. Kansas City crowd was insane. The KO from Kwamba, the KO from Wellmaker, that place was popping on the prelims. And that's the difference between fight nights and pay-per-views. I swear to you, every fight night that I've been to, the prelims are like really good. The crowd is there. They're excited because the UFC doesn't go to that region all the time. But if you get a pay-per-view in Las Vegas, all the prelims, there's like nobody there. The crowd absolutely sucks. And then, everybody shows up for the main card. Some people just show up for the fucking main event. But the fight night crowds are some of the best. Absolute best. Those prelims were insane. Y'all would legit be glazing if he wasn't a cuck. I would not. Who's your favorite fighter right now? My boy DDP. I went to the fights and I've never seen a stadium so full for the prelims. Kansas City was all in. Wasn't even a pay-per-view. Facts. What do you think was up with Michel Pereira? You look explosive at all, kind of look disinterested in the fight. Maybe he gassed himself out on the walkout like he's done before. That's who Michel Pereira is, man. Sometimes he's a fucking flake. Sometimes he's a flake. You got to factor that in, I guess. Very poor performance from Michel Pereira. Looked like he didn't even want to be there. Parlay Princess, what's going on, brother? Princess is glazing a little bit. But, little glaze is good for the homies, Brought up the title shot because remember Colby got a shot and Dana was like, well, how can he not be next? He weighed in as the backup. That is true. That is some bullshit, but, sometimes they do be pulling that bullshit. I don't know how he could make weight again so soon. I don't know either. I'm way behind on the chats. I'm so sorry. I need to do some sports betting. Good luck, brother. Am I going to be at UFC 15? Nah, not going to be at UFC 15. I'm sorry, brother. Not traveling to Canada. Although it's a pretty decent card. Pretty decent. With the amount of hate Ian gets, he definitely could be a star. A lot of people want to see him lose. It's kind of the Jake Paul route, dude. Kind of the Jake Paul route. Garry made Prates look small. Could you see Prates dropping a weight class? I do agree with that, though. Prates did look small, but he's a lot of limbs. Kind of got that Sean Woodson build a little bit. Obviously not as skinny, but he's kind of skinny. Like you're looking at his waist and like his legs, they're skinny ass legs, skinny ass arms. Maybe he could bulk up a little bit, just be a little bit thicker at 170. I don't see him going down to 155 though. The guy who doesn't smoke 15 cigarettes a day, gassing around 4 and 5. His takedown defense did look really good. Ian Garry's fight style might be boring, but to be honest, the circus around him always guarantees eyeballs. Everyone knows the name and people want to see him lose. Couldn't agree more. Prates was saving energy for the last rounds because was his first 5. Yeah, that's true. Ian Garry's going to get caught in his next fight. Depends who it is, bro. Prates, no fight IQ, I'm assuming. How you going to ride Shavkat after watching his boring-ass fight with Garry? Honestly, think Bilal's fight with Leon was more engaging. I kind of agree. I'm not riding Shavkat, but at least, he had all finishes before he fought Ian Garry. Ian Garry's just a guy that's not going to make mistakes. He's not going to make any mistakes. He's not going to allow you to hit him with a big shot or get into a position where he could sub you. All right, boys, I'm going to cut the IG Live. If you're in the IG Live, come on over to the YouTube chat. There's a link on my story. You're donezo. All right, boys, just us. Just us on the YouTube and the X. Hit a plus 13 for last night. Amareem, sub round 2. Gutierrez split. Magomedov by decision. Only dropped 5 on it. Hey, that's a damn good win. Women's MMA under's been going crazy. They have. Who the hell saw Jocelyn Edwards round 1 KO? Not me. Nope. I'm going to this week's card in Iowa. Good luck. Have fun. I'm not Canadian. I am from the land of the free, the home of the brave, the USA, brother. You versus me. Somebody called Dana. Book it. All the people saying told you this and told you that are dumb as fuck. All hindsight, and I'd bet the house that you know more than those fools. 100%, bro. This is literally all I fucking do. All I fucking do. All right? Can we talk about Prates IQ? LOL, yeah. I mean, it might be the lowest of the fighting nerds. Yeah. He needed a couple more sessions in the classroom after watching that performance against Ian Garry, that's for sure. Plus 650 parlay, good shit. What are we thinking for Buckley versus Usman? That is one that I did want to talk about a little bit because I think that's a great fight. How old is Kamaru Usman now? He's got to be, 37, 38? 37? Whoa. He'll be 38 in May 11th. So by the time they fight, he'll be 38 years old. That is not good. 3-fight losing streak, but it's against fucking Khamzat Chimaev at 185 and back-to-back fights against Leon Edwards. So you got to take the losing streak into account. But I do think Kamaru Usman is pretty much cooked. All right. He's been cooked. His body has fallen apart. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years, 3 years? When did he last fight? 2023. So it's been almost 2 years. By the time he fights, it'll be more than a year and a half. So he's been off, hasn't been active. He's 38 years old, 3-fight losing streak. His body is in shambles. How the hell could I actually trust Kamaru Usman to go in there and beat a surging Joaquin Buckley? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So right now I'm thinking Joaquin Buckley. I would expect Joaquin Buckley to be a favorite. I would expect him to be in the range of a minus 175, minus 200. I don't know if there's lines out yet. I got to check those. Maybe there is lines out. UFC 3. No, it'll be a UFC Atlanta. It's not out yet. Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say Joaquin Buckley minus 175 to minus 200 range. But I think Buckley's just such an animal at 170, dude. Like, his boxing is sharp. His movement is funky. He's got nice kicks from the outside. He's a physical specimen. I know Kamaru Usman's that physical specimen, but Buckley's in his prime age. He's going to go in there, touch up Kamaru Usman on the feet, defend the takedowns, wrestle with Kamaru, maybe if he's feeling lucky, and I think he'll probably get the dub. Buckley's just on a tear right now. I'm not doubting that, man. What up, hey, job? Good call on the Kwamba by KO. My play of the week was Prates plus 5.5. That did not cash, did it? It did. It did. Plus 5.5. Wow. Right? Because 48, 47, 48, 47, 49, 46. Yeah. Plus 5.5 did hit. Nice one, bro. I should have bet the house on Mountain Tiger in hindsight. Yeah, it's always hindsight, bro. Smith got KO'd round 2, was plus 450 odds. Yeah, I was leaning that way as well. What 2 fighters winning 90% of the time this week? Get lost, bro. I'm sorry. It's kind of a dumb chat. Figured Garry would only win by decision, and Carlos would def take 1 round. Okay, there you go. Fighting nerds weren't using their brain. That's true. Feel like you've been discrediting RDR by not believing in his conquest for 2 titles. So in case of an RDR win, you must apologize. Dude, he's not going to be a 2-division champ, bro. Like, he's not going to be a champ of 1 division. He could definitely win a lot of fights, but he ain't going to be a fucking 2-division champ. Probably not going to be a 1-division champ. Bro, I don't understand why. Am I the only one that doesn't see an issue with Volk or Ian's decisions? It's up to the other fighters to adapt. Yeah, it's not on them to. I don't know. It's on them to make it a little bit exciting. Like if you're winning, you should always try to like look for a finish or like put a stamp on some things. But like, if you're getting the win, you get the win. It's cool. Juliana Miller coming back. Watch out, boys. Randy Brown is on a nice win streak. If you gave him that split decision versus Brian Battle, which I personally scored for Randy, very good fighter. Yeah, what would that be like? 6 or 7 fight win streak for Randy Brown? Unfortunate. I got 500 on a 2-leg locked in. Montel Jackson, Sandhagen already for the week. Good luck. Pereira and Prates were my only misses of the card. I feel like both didn't show up. Unfortunately, it would have been my second sweep in the last month. Yeah, I think both guys had a pretty poor performance. But won't underestimate RDR. We'll see. I wish I could have seen TJ Dillashaw reaction to the Lionheart finale. Oh, dude, you know what I was thinking? Evan Elder kind of reminds me of TJ Dillashaw in there a little bit. I don't know if it's just the fucking haircut, the way his face looks, the tattoos, but like some of those little stance switches, just like spamming a bunch of kicks. It kind of give me shades of TJ Dillashaw a little bit. Evan Elder looked good in there. Anderson Silva got no send-off, and Karate Hottie got a 15-minute motion picture. And Anthony Smith gets a fucking song from Jelly Roll. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't understand it, though. I really don't. What's Matty Betts been doing? Is he good? He's good, brother. He's good. Fights that easily go decision on the Apex just end up in spectacular finishes in front of a live crowd. Kind of, yeah. Knockout for a debut was fire. A win for the everyday working man. Think UFC will get behind this kid? Absolutely. Absolutely. Malcolm Wellmaker has got some serious pop in those hands, okay? That shot he hit Cameron Simon with, beautifully timed, right across the chin, and pretty much a flat line KO. Like, when you fall like that, that means you're out. Like, you are out. And he kind of woke up a little bit once he got to the ground, but like 100% good stoppage. Like, Malcolm Wellmaker is nice, dude. Like, he might fall into some losses to where guys don't really engage too much, or maybe they're just really good grapplers and they can take him down. But Malcolm Wellmaker will have some seriously fun fights in the UFC, and he will have more highlight knockouts like that. Been eating steak every day because of your fantasy picks. Thanks, bro. Yeah. Good stuff. Eat that steak. It's good for you. Easy money. I have to see the UFC getting out of the Apex as well, but what are your thoughts on the Apex extension? I'm interested to see what a nice sized crowd looks like at the Apex. I don't know. But I can tell you this. the word on the street is the Homo Fight Boys are planning to go to the Apex in May for Gilbert's fight. So I would love to get out there. I've always wanted to go to an Apex card just to see what it's like, and kind of just to give like some people an experience of what the Apex is like. I'll probably make like a video about it just to see or give you guys like a chance to look at it. It's hella expensive, but I've always wanted to go to the Apex. So it looks like we're planning to go to the Apex in May for Gilbert's fight against Michael Morales, even though that card is not the best, but you know, you got to do what you got to do to get the experience. We'll see. I want to see, check it out. I'll let you know. From Kansas, Deontay Wilder is fighting here in June for 7,000 fans. The UFC could sell out 20K here. Wow. Definitely. I don't know what that means. Am I just that far behind? Jesus Christ. Not with how much people claim. I don't see how it doesn't get investigated. You cashed your 10-cent round robins. Nice. I don't know what that means. Prates said 155 would be absolutely terrifying. I wonder if there's any chance he could make it, but I doubt it. Pereira and Prates were my only 2 misses on the card. Yeah, you already said that. I hope Prates quits smoking, actually. I don't. Keep smoking, brother. People thought I was crazy when I said Battle would beat Prates. Battle cardio and durability would take him far against Prates. I don't know, buddy. Reason why Garry kept spamming single legs is because Prates has a read that he gives up a single leg for free without throwing anything back, and Garry kept taking advantage of that. Cool. We need to talk about how Carlos had him dead, 2-3 good shots. They were calling that fight, and he didn't throw. I'm going to tell you, I don't know why. Carlos had him hurt, and Ian Garry's like on his hands and knees trying to crawl away. And I was like, bro, there's like 30 seconds left. Maybe try to, scoop the back. Try to scoop the back. Lock in the hooks. Go for the neck. Because Ian Garry's just going to keep running when you're trying to knock him out. Like, I think you got to submit the guy. Because he's just going to keep running, crawling away, doing his thing. Right when they were in the pretty much they were in doggy style, I was like, bro, throw the hooks in. Throw the hooks in. Throw those long gangly arms under the neck. Get the submission. And then Prates, I just don't think he had the gas. I don't think he had the gas. And he had the chance to like just unleash left hands, and he wasn't. And then he let him back up. And I was like, okay, Ian's just going to run for his dear life with 10 seconds left. He's not going to just stand in front of you and trade. He was literally running away. Unfortunate. Early thoughts on Buckley versus Usman. I see this going a lot like Buckley's fight with Colby, Father Time, and layoff is going to be too much for Usman. Yeah, we already went over that, but I completely agree. Thoughts on Jeremy Stephens' comeback after the Alvarez KO and BKFC? Is that why he's back, or just to draw Iowa fans? I don't know that Jeremy Stephens is going to be back for a long time. He's 38 years old. I think BKFC is his sport, bro. Like, I don't know why he's coming back to MMA. Maybe he got a nice payday from the UFC and just wants to fight in front of, the Iowa crowd. But if I was Jeremy Stephens, I would be looking for more BKFC fights because that is his sport. And I know BKFC pays their top guys pretty well. So I don't know what he's getting paid in the UFC, but I was kind of surprised to see that he came back to the UFC, but he puts on fun fights. So I don't think he'll win, but we'll see. How does Dustin beat Max? Well, pretty much the same way he has beaten him before, which is outbox him, land the bigger shots. But, Max, I think Max has a solid chance to beat him. I believe the odds are like pretty much a pick 'em. Dustin, at his age, is a question because Max is still a lot younger than Dustin, which is crazy because Max has, been in the UFC for almost as long as Dustin has, or at least he's been in the UFC a long time. But how does Dustin beat Max? He's done it before, so he could pretty much just do the same thing, but not all rematches or trilogies are built the same, and rarely do they ever play out the same. But it's going to be a competitive fight. I think it's a great fight. Poirier versus Max Holloway, UFC 319, 318. Yeah, UFC 318, Poirier versus Holloway. 3 for the BMF belt. I don't really love the BMF belt, but if you got to throw a BMF belt on the title fight, or for the main event for a title, like, I get it. I think Holloway versus Poirier as a main event in Louisiana, it's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight, is enough to sell it. I don't think you really needed to add, the BMF belt to it, but either way, I guess that's cool. Gives them to fight for something to fight for, I guess. Holloway currently has it, so he's got to put it on the line at some point. And I guess if Poirier wins, then it's just going to get retired again, and then they'll just revamp it. But if Holloway beats Poirier in his retirement fight, then Max Holloway would be the only guy that has defended the BMF title, I believe. So there's that. I guess, Ilya Topuria is the real BMF because he knocked the shit out of Max Holloway, but it's a fun fight. I'm excited to see it. I actually might make the trip out there, man. Dustin Poirier's last fight. Love me some Dustin Poirier. Like, that would be a great scene out there. Prime Usman, you just had to be there. Can we bet the house? Max versus Holloway is a 5-round boxing decision. I wouldn't bet the house, man. I wouldn't bet the house. Holloway's coming off a knockout loss. Poirier's been knocked out a couple times. These guys are going to box. Like, anything can happen. Fiorot wins belt at 315. Who cares? But probably. Ban on call-in show twice. Both times missed one leg. Right winner, wrong outcome. Next one cashes. There you go. That's the thoughts we got to have. I think Buckley beats Usman and then calls out Garry. I would love to see it. I would love to see Buckley beat Usman. He calls out Ian Garry and they book the fight. If Buckley beats Usman and calls for the title shot, I get it. But I think the power move would be, here's what Buckley's got to do. If he beats Kamaru Usman, the power move has to be, I want the title shot, but I'm willing to prove that I am the true number one contender. Ian Garry thinks he deserves a title shot. Ian Garry, come meet me in the octagon and we can sort it out. Sean Brady is doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. He can sit there and wait, but me and Ian Garry are going to fight for the number one contender fight. We're going to do it. We're going to prove it. The winner gets the title shot. Ian Garry, come meet me in the octagon. I think that's what he's got to do. Because if he beats Usman, it's up in the air if you get a title shot or not. But if he wants to make it clear, they got beef. They're both somewhat in line for a title shot. Just fucking fight for it. When the Buck versus Cuck fight happens, who do you think would take it? I personally think Buck is a good matchup for Garry. Buckley's footwork and willingness to exchange, I think, gets him the dub. I tend to agree, but Ian Garry just finds a way to fucking weasel his way to a decision. Come on. He just finds ways, bro. He just does. He's so good. And Buckley has some weaknesses, but Buckley is, kind of a brute out there. Like, he is so physical for 170 that, even if Ian Garry tries to be like finesse with him, I could see Buckley, using his physicality, throwing his body at him, throwing him up against the cage, getting some takedowns. But I also think Ian Garry would be very effective at range. He would be very effective because Buckley's 5'10", Ian Garry's 6'3". Ian's very good at range, very fast too. And I don't know that Buckley would be like, just look at Buckley versus Wonderboy. Like, Wonderboy was arguably winning the fight up until he got knocked out. And obviously Wonderboy's 40 some years old. Ian Garry's not. So I think Buckley or Ian Garry would have his moments, or at least win a lot of minutes on the feet against Buckley from range, just because he's a great kicker and he's fast and his jab is solid. And Buckley, I think, would have a hard time getting in on the inside. But I'm not going to doubt Buckley. I think it would be a great fight. I would love to see it happen. You reckon Reebok Neal versus Prates, or Prates versus Randy Brown? Prates versus Randy Brown, I'm down. I'm down with that. That's cool. Doesn't the line on Dustin versus Dustin Max seem off? Dustin with 2 wins over him seems like the play, right? Well, it's just because Dustin's age. I would say Dustin's age, Max having a win at 155 against Justin Gaethje. That's probably why the line is where it is. About pick 'em. Buckley is too hungry now. I love Buckley's promo for UFC Atlanta against Kamaru. Great promo. More guys got to do that. I thought that was amazing. Is there any ways Kamaru can hold Buckley down with his wrestling? I don't see it, but I'm no sharp. I don't think he does. I don't think Kamaru wrestles Buckley and like wrestle Fox, and I just don't see it. If Buckley has half a brain, he'll leg kick Usman. Why the absolute fuck was no one leg kicking Usman? Probably because they didn't want to, well, I mean, Leon Edwards was, but probably because they don't want to get their kicks caught. Stuff like that. I don't see anyone beating Bilal for a while, and he still doesn't get the credit he deserves. JDM. JDM might be the guy. Might be the guy. Let's just say that. Might be the guy. I think RDR is too big for Bo. He is big as fuck. Thoughts on Manon versus Shevchenko? I'm rolling with Manon. Yeah, I mean, I've always thought Manon was the next champion, but Shevchenko's fucking good, dude. And I think if Shevchenko can get some wrestling going, I think she can have some success. On the feet, though, like, I think it's very competitive. And I know Manon is really good at stuffing takedowns and being physical, and she's huge for the weight class. I think it's a pretty close fight, but I do tend to lean with Manon. If RDR is VR, become champ, I'll put my stack in a waffle iron. All right, it's okay to discredit RDR, but when he wins this weekend, you will I'm not even 100% picking Bo Nickel. Monir got a fucking hard on for RDR. I'm not even 100% picking Bo Nickel. Like, I think RDR has a solid chance to beat him. Crazy great counter and power. Yeah, it's really nice. Simon ain't no slouch despite his record. That Willmaker did was no doubt impressive and career altering. Yeah, I hope they don't cut Cameron Simon because I think he's still solid, man. I think he's still solid. I don't think he's just a busted prospect. What are your thoughts on Max versus Dustin 3? Would you have rather seen Gaethje versus Dustin? I'm getting scared they're going to do Islam versus Gaethje. I'm also scared about that, but I don't think that's going to happen because last night, I guess Dana White said Ilya versus Islam fight is going to happen. They just haven't booked it yet, but he said it's going to happen. And from what Ilya Taporia seems to be saying, sounds like he's got a fight coming up. I hope it's not Islam versus Gaethje. I really hope it's Islam versus Taporia. That's the fight to make. A lot of times we get these fights to make, and then something happens. They don't make it, and then something happens, and the fight just doesn't have the same spark. Make it now while it's hot. Ilya Taporia is on his path to becoming the greatest fighter of all time. Islam Makhachev is already up there for one of the best fighters to ever do it. It's the best fight you can make in the UFC right now. Ilya versus Islam, make it fucking happen. It sounds like they're about to do it, so I'm looking forward to that. Jeremy Stevens was on Ariel and said he's betting on himself signing one fight deal so that he can try and get that Conor fight. I mean, if he knocks out Mason Jones, he's probably going to have to fight at somebody else. So he's got to beat Mason Jones first. That's the hard part. Dustin still got the smashed, injured nose from that Islam fight. Could see Max pushing that button hurting Poirier a little bit. It's going to be a scrap, bro. 100%. BMF belt is like a participation trophy. I laid the juice on Mason Jones 5 units to win 1 unit. Oh my God. You got some balls for doing that, honestly. But respect. Also parlay Bilal moneyline, Mason Jones moneyline, Manon Fiorot moneyline. Good luck. Ian Garry's just going to jab Buckley's face off like Kevin Holland did. Kind of, yeah. Dustin beats Max. Do you think the BMF goes to a heavier division? Maybe, but, lightweight is the premier division in the UFC, so I could see it sticking around. Maybe they'll give Gaethje another shot at it. You never know. The whole Wonderboy fight, it was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then it did. I don't know if it does that with Ian. Yeah, that's true. Do you see MVP versus Stephen Thompson probably not happening? Probably happening next. That would be interesting, but I don't think it would be a fun fight, honestly. 2 counter strikers, 2 guys that fight at range. And yeah. Lord, please save us from a potential Garry versus Bilal matchup. You know, I kind of want to just see that for logistical experience, man. Like, you know, whose fight IQ is better? Who is more willing to make the fight boring? Bilal or Ian Garry? I'd love to see it. Well, just to test it out, just to see which guy will take more risk, you know? I see JDM versus Bilal, another Burns versus JDM. Only this time JDM won't get lucky. I see him getting taken down spammed. Takedown spam. Yeah, it's a possibility. Bilal beats JDM. Bilal's cardio is on another level, and his fight IQ is some of the best in the welterweight division. He knows how to break opponents down and keep the pace high for 5 rounds. That is true. That is true, but he's also 37. And if you know the statistics, you know the statistics. They should cut Simon, so Law got cut, came back better. Yeah, that's true. That's the thing too. Like even if the UFC cuts Simon, he'll still dominate the regional scene. He'll probably be back. So I can see that as well. As he wants the rematch with Sean, do you think he gets it? And if it is booked, how do you think it goes? I mean, shit, why not? Why not make the fucking rematch? Let's see another fucking Sean Strickland 5-round decision. Jab and teeps. Let's see it, man. Why don't we fucking main event it on a fucking pay-per-view and make a second BMF belt? Izzy versus Sean rematch, BMF belt number 2. Let's book it for a 5-round main event. Sean Strickland, jab and teep, Israel Adesanya, 1-4 in his last 5. Let's just fucking book it, guys. Why not? Just apologize to RDR. Oh my God, dude. I think a bet on RDR is smart. I think Bo is pretty small for a middleweight. I think a lot of people will bet RDR close to the fight / post face off. Maybe. Could trade out. What's your best take ever? Mine was Pena by sub against Nunes. Wow. That was a hell of a call, but I would probably like to look at a lot of your other calls because if you make a bunch of wild calls, eventually you're going to get one. I don't know. I don't know what my best take ever is. I guess my most convicted one was that DDP was going to beat Adesanya and submit him. I guess that's my best take because it was very publicized. I was very confident in it. I bet a lot of money on it, and it paid off. Just Muir has season 8 of Contenders just broke absolute monsters. Abdul Malik, Wellmaker, Delgado, Jacoby Smith, Kavanaugh, etc. I can't wait for the Contender Series, bro. Usually it's in like August, late July, August, somewhere around there. Those are the best, dude. I can't wait for the Contender Series. It's going to be fun this year. Izzy doesn't deserve a top 5 matchup when does he finally become the 8-15 gatekeeper he is? We will see, but yeah, 1-4 in his last 5. Give him the fucking Strickland rematch, I guess. Whatever. Has Ilya surpassed Dustin as your favorite fighter? On like my favorite fighter list, probably, but they're just very different. Like Ilya's just he's the better fighter in my opinion, but Dustin is like the OG just game. Like there's something about a guy that's so dominant that I love it. Like Ilya Taporia is just so dominant. I believe in this guy so much that he could just go out there and beat anybody in front of him. With Dustin, it's not really the same. Like I know Dustin can lose to a lot of fighters, but he's just such a fun personality, such a fun fighter to watch. You know he's always going to be game. Even if his nose is broken, he's got a fucking torn ACL, broken rib, he's going to go in there, spit out the blood, and just keep scrapping. Like, he's just a fun guy, just a fun fighter. That's what I'm talking about when I'm banging on Ian Garry. Like, he's not a fighter the fans are going to love. Like, he's not a Dustin Poirier. He's not. He's a great MMA fighter, but he's not a Dustin Poirier. And who has had the more successful UFC career? I would argue Dustin Poirier. Even if Ian Garry does become champ one day, still think Dustin Poirier is going to be remembered in the hearts of fans more than any Ian Garry. Will Polyana be cut? Probably should be, bro. Probably should be. Middleweight is a logjam right now. How would you even match the top 6 without getting Imavov's pussy sore? Book fucking Kyle Bahalio versus Imavov. Just make them fucking fight, bro. Make them fight. Hamza versus DDP apparently is still happening, so make them fight. Imavov versus Bahalio. When does the new Contender Series start? I've been looking, but I can't find nothing but tough. It's usually in August. Usually starts in August. Do you think Costa finally gets a win versus Kopylov? 3 rounds or 5 rounds? 3-rounder. I think Kopylov could win. 5-rounder, maybe Costa. Bro, I knew Jocelyn Edwards was going to get the KO. I don't know why I didn't parlay it with Wellmaker and Randy Brown KO. Hindsight is always there. Professional casual analysis. You are well spoken, but you don't bring anything to the table I don't hear from an average bro. All right, cool. Great hat. Where did you get it? And are you a classic car guy? Thanks for all your solid picks. Just started the DFS tail. Well, good thing you're tailing the DFS, Mr. Scott. This hat I got at TJ Maxx, $10. I am not a classic car guy, but my dad was. So I thought it was pretty sick. And the Chevy is in my blood. So I thought it was a pretty cool hat. Appreciate the compliment. My best pick was DDP KO over Rob. That was a great call as well. I was pretty, I don't want to say I wasn't super confident in DDP over KO or DDP over Rob, but I was confident that the line was off and that DDP would give him a good fight. And I did bet on it. So what would you cap Usman versus Buckley? Buckley minus, I think minus 175, minus 200, somewhere around there. But you know, if it's minus 300 or something like that, I wouldn't touch it. Volkanovski became champ again at 36. He broke the curse. Yeah, that's fucking Volkanovski. One of the best fighters to ever do it. Wellmaker was easy. 100%. $3 to pay $3K loss on the Chris Gutierrez fight. I bet the under 2.5 should have known it was going to be pure pitter patter. I bet you were pretty pissed that Gutierrez knocked him down in round 1 and then did fuck all after he knocked him down. Like, did nothing. What an idiot. But yeah, that fight was destined to go to a decision. Did you see Ilya on Rogan trying to talk like he reads a lot of books? LOL. I did see that. I was listening to it in the car. And when he asked Ilya, you know, what kind of books do you read? And Ilya was like stuttering a little bit, like he didn't really know what to say. And I just pictured LeBron in my head. I'm like, bro, this is a terrible moment. You're gonna get clipped and just memed with like the LeBron memes of, you know, him holding a book that he doesn't read. But then you got to cut him some slack, bro. Like English is Ilya's like third language. So maybe he's just, you know, trying to like think of the titles and he doesn't remember the titles or whatever, you know. I don't know. But that was funny. What is the bet you were most fucked over? Mine was K-Car France versus Albazi. Pissed me off so bad. I don't know, bro. It's been a lot. But I also did bet on Kai France in that fight, so that one did piss me off. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. And there's a lot of decisions that have fucked me over the years. May 10th. Remember the name, Bilal. Remember the decision, brother. Name 5 books, bozo. Yo, did you see the Joaquin Buckley fake slap Ian Garry's wife? I did not see that. I saw he was by him at the weigh-ins, but I didn't see that he fake slapped her booty. That's crazy. Then I would be a little bit pissed if I was Ian Garry. Wild stuff. We're going to cut it there, boys. I appreciate you for joining. Sunday Service episode number 45 in the books. Coming off of UFC Kansas City. 7 weeks in a row. The Homo Fight Picks Premium membership has produced a profitable week. We can look to make it 8 in a row. UFC Des Moines. You want all my bets? Jump in the Homo Fight Picks Premium membership. Link is down in the description below. And if you haven't already, and you want some Professor Parlay merch, let me just pull this up real quick. You want some Professor Parlay merch? Share that. There we go. There we go. Come on. Come on. Maybe it's not going to work. There we go. You want some Professor Parlay merch? Go to ProfessorParlayShop.com. Get your merch. Great shirt, limited quantity, high quality shirt, very wearable, black and white, goes with everything. I wear it all the time. May all your parlays cash. I appreciate y'all for joining tonight. Like the live for me, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back here very soon. We're going to do a live breakdown on the YouTube channel again. It'll either be Monday night or Tuesday night, probably Tuesday night of UFC Des Moines. It'll be fun. Official picks on Wednesday, best bets on Thursday, Friday, long shots only live show. We out, boys. Have a good week.